JDL USA presents Rabbi Nachum Shifren, Torah scholar, author, public speaker, and good friend of the late Rabbi Meir Kahana.
Welcome back, Shavua Tov, and we are on parsha DEVARIM, the very first parsha in the book of Deuteronomy. There's some things here that need some clarification, and there's some other things, topics that are burning issues that we want to address. Hopefully we can get them all. There's an interesting Rashi that we've pointed out in the past. There's a parsha that's called Ki Tetzeh, and it goes like this. It starts out, Ki Tetzeh la milchama al oivecha. What does that mean? When you go to war against your enemies, immediately anybody normal that has half a brain is going to go, wait a minute. You're talking to me about halacha, which of course the Torah is talking about halacha, Jewish law, all the time, how one must be conducting oneself. Even during war, there are certain mandates. So the normal person is going to say, well, wait a minute, if you're going to war, are you going to go to war against your friends? Of course they're your enemies. Really? Again, we need clarification, because if you just let normal people, supposedly normal, that are using their rationale instead of the Torah's rationale, you'll come up with some bizarre combinations on that phrase. So Rashi, our distinguished Torah scholar and clarifier of the various verses, tells us that when you go to war, act like you're going to war. You know? Nobody in their right mind would envision going to war against people and then giving them diapers, giving them food, giving them water, taking care of their kids, giving them, babysitters. Again, we go back to World War II. That was a real war for survival, for existence. And the Allies' attitude toward that war was total destruction. How does a war end? Anybody know? It ends when the one side is completely decimated and raises a white flag and saying, no more, we're not going to shoot, we'll bow to all your demands. It's called surrender, complete surrender, and we will do as you instruct us, as you command us. That's called surrender in a war. Otherwise, the people keep fighting. Why do you surrender if you've still got more bullets left? Here we have the same situation in Israel. But because Israel is composed of a psychotic people, and I'm not kidding about this, there's no country in the world that would fight a war like Israel. Nobody. October 7th, war was declared against Israel. On the 8th of October, there should have been a total victory over the enemies of Israel, but there wasn't. For over 2 years, Israeli soldiers needed to be destroyed. We witnessed capitation of babies, of women that were pregnant, had their guts open up and their babies slaughtered. People were killed. Women were raped. Many women, we were told, begged their captors to kill them rather than rape them. A normal person is not just horrified by this, but raises his hands up to God and said, slay our enemies. Well, we don't have that. We have the IDF. That's their job. They were trained to kill the enemy. That's not what happened here. So what if the Hamas terrorist rubble? So what if they hid behind schools and hospitals? So what? They did that knowing that they could prolong this war for years, and they understand Jews better than Jews understand themselves. They knew that the Jews would never fire on hospitals and schools. 85% of the people in Gaza voted for Hamas. By the way, there was a Palestinian state. They had a Palestinian state. In 2005, Israel ceded all the territory to Hamas. That was called a Palestinian state. They had it. They took all their money, and instead of using it for fields and crops and education, they turned it into a vast network of tunnels in order to slaughter Jews. So we're at the end now, and we're answering Rashi's question, Ki tetzei lemilchama od oivecha. When you go to war against your enemy, that war should have been over on October 8th. Rabbi Kahana, alav Shalom, used to ask the leader of the JDL and of the Kach party in Israel, and the foremost leader of a very, very activist movement here in the United States, said something that absolutely echoes in the hearts of people who think about it, and it reverberates, and its sobriety and its profundity keep going forward. And he said the following: what will we say to the mishpachot hashchulot, the mourning families for their dead youth, their young men that were either slaughtered or murdered or killed in all the wars against the Arabs? When the day finally comes, when we finally understand the ultimate purpose of the Arabs in the land of Israel is to remove us from the land, what will we say then when we raise up our hands and raise our arms and arm ourselves and remove them from the land, including Hamas, including Hezbollah, everybody, including Iran? What will we ultimately say to those families that mourned for the last 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, when we sacrificed our youth, our young, precious youth, to the Molech, to the tyranny, the obscenity of this Arab monster, just eating our youth, the pride of the joy of our eyes? And every generation has to ask that question. What will we say to those families when one day the Arabs will have to be removed from the land of Israel? Not now, but one day it's going to have to happen. Because guess what? How would you like to be an Arab, waking up, living in Ramallah or Jenin or Nablus or wherever you have? Wake up every morning and hear the Jewish Israeli national anthem stating, Nefesh Yehudi Homia. A Jewish soul earns. It's part of the national anthem of Israel. I'm not a Jew. I'm not yearning for this. This isn't me. I don't have to accept that. And they're right. Why should they accept that? So instead of saying, go to a place where you feel at home, where you feel you don't have to worry about Jewish souls, go to that place that you desire, where you feel like an Arab fulfilling your own destiny. You're not going to do it here. What will we say to those families when ultimately, in the end of days, before the Messiah comes, that these people have to be removed? We could have done that 70 years ago. And all of the deaths, all of the people that were raped and beheaded and sodomized, all of them would be alive today. Something to think about. We don't hear that from any of the Jewish organizations. We don't hear that from any of the legacy news media. But it depends on us, the quote-unquote conservatives, the quote-unquote nationalists, the quote-unquote whatever you want to call us. That's the question that we ask tonight. And here here we see the nature of the problem coming straight back in our face. Iran, with all of its problems, defeated and humiliated for the world, they still have a few more atoms to throw at us. There's a couple of bombs somewhere. They're not done with the job yet. They've declared as such. So instead of bombing them, instead of killing them, assassinating them, we let it slide. And here we are today. These words may come as to some people as bizarre or as fanatical or as hate-filled. Really? You be somebody whose daughter was beheaded or raped or sodomized. Then you talk to me about it. Till then, you don't have anything to say. This week's parsha, however, turns on a different note. And it's one more, a little bit more, should we say, a little more spiritual. It's on the spiritual side. All of these things have befallen us, including the destruction of two of our temples, because of our deeds. And as a very famous man once stated, he was without sin, let him cast the first stone. Meaning, there's a lot of guilt to go around. And this week's Torah, taken from Isaiah, says, Tzion b'mishpat tipadeh, shaveh b'tzedakah. The Tzion, which is the heart of the whole heart of the Jewish nation, not a place, but more of a figurative term for the Jewish soul and our connection to God. B'mishpat tipadeh, it will be redeemed through Torah study. It's interesting here, it doesn't talk about attitude or repentance or contrition. Rather, it uses a very unusual phrase, Torah study. B'mishpat tipadeh, it will be, the Jewish people will be redeemed through study of Torah. It's a fascinating concept, one that will probably have to be examined at length in a different podcast. But through Torah study, it says in the Torah, it says in our literature, in our liturgy, that Talmud Torah keneged kulam, that the study of Torah is juxtaposed against all the mitzvot, all of the mandates in the Bible. It's so important that even God said He would let slide the egregious things of spilling blood, of sexual perversions and things like that. But as long as people were studying Torah, there would be a cause for redemption. It's a very amazing thing. It just goes to show how important it is. If there is no study of Torah, who are we? What are we? This is the problem that we face in this country. Because of the lacks of Torah study, we don't know who we are. Who are we? Are we just Americans? Are we just people that go to the mall? Are we just people that play racquetball with each other? I mean, what's our ultimate purpose here? What are we doing? Everybody's got something that they're involved in: tennis, golf, surfing, whatever. Not a problem, but we need to be cognizant of the fact that there's something deeper than all that, and Torah study gives us that option to find out. Once you're reading the Torah, you come to grips with who you really are, what your essence is. Well, that's this week's Torah parsha. DEVARIM, Parsha's DEVARIM, which we read, tells about the different before DEVARIM called HaZeh. HaZeh are the journeys. Prior to the parsha DEVARIM, we talked about journeys, like many 20, 30, or 40 different journeys in the desert. And it talks about all of them, and not at length, but it mentions them. The question is, what's the purpose of mentioning all these journeys? That you were camped here, you pull up camp, and you went to another place. You set up camp there, pull up stakes, went to another. It says it like 30 times. And what's the point of all that? The Kabbalists tell us that these are symbolic of our different encampments in life. What have we done there? What did we do? How did we merit being there? How was it when we left it? In other words, the individual fulfillment of human beings, right? How have we bettered ourselves? How have we learned from our mistakes? How have we become closer to our essence, to our faith? Through Torah study, of course, is one reason. So that's something that precedes the parsha DEVARIM, which talks about, of course, Moses gives a very alluding type of a thing about why we were exiled. We had the golden calf, a very roundabout way of talking about the golden calf. Quite interesting, actually. So on that note, I would like to just say that we finished the 3 weeks of mourning. We finished the 9th of Av, which was 3 days ago. And we're onward toward the new year, the Jewish New Year. So let's hope that we can learn, we can read, we can study, we can see different concepts that are absolutely eternal, that we can somehow internalize them and come out better, stronger in our beliefs, and improve our behavior and improve our attitudes toward our friends and family and whatnot. And with that, we should say Shavua Tov to everybody, and God bless everybody. Take care.